So good morning again. I failed to show you this video on the communicable disease a while ago. So let me just share you this video now.
It is important that all staff are aware of disease-related hazards in their workplace and know how to protect themselves against infectious diseases. Often, illnesses that may show mild symptoms in children are much more debilitating to adults. Standard precaution for infection control are a set of practices that are based on the assumption that all blood and bodily fluids are considered potentially infectious. One example of a standard precaution is regular hand washing. It is also important to know your personal immunity status for all relevant diseases. Most childhood diseases are now vaccine preventable. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, we can become unwell. During this time, it is strongly encouraged that staff and students stay home until they are no longer contagious. Your health is valuable. So remember, if you're aware of it, take care of it.
Okay, so that's the video a while ago. Okay, that I failed to show during the lecture on epidemiology of communicable diseases. So this will be the second lecture for this morning. This will be about malaria, and the third lecture will be on TB. Okay, so this is Palawan. So Palawan is the only province now in the Philippines that is still endemic for malaria. So these are some of the pictures that I took when I visit Palawan. Okay. Okay. So we're talking about the natural history of malaria. Okay. So objectives at the end of the session, the students should be able to explain the natural history of malaria and on the policies of the National Strategic Plan for the Control and Elimination of Malaria in the Philippines 2020 to 2022. I uploaded this in a PDF file in Canvas. So if you want to do further readings on the malaria program in the Philippines, you can read this PDF. For the global burden of malaria, so in 2019, there were an estimated 229 million cases of malaria worldwide. And the estimated number of malaria deaths stood at 409,000 in 2019. So ganun karami. So 500,000 died due to malaria in 2019. Children under the age of 5 are the most vulnerable group affected by malaria. In 2019, they accounted for 67% of our malaria deaths worldwide. This is the global trend in incidence of malaria in 204 countries and territories. So yung A, malaria incidence noong 2019, B, yung changes sa malaria episodes between 1990 and 2019, and C, yung EAPC sa malaria from 1990 to 2019. Ayan. So kung makikita nyo, andyan ang Philippines kasama. Ayan. Okay, so 100 to 99 ba yan? And so, and so lagi tayo na second. Okay? Philippine burden of malaria. This is a good figure for malaria incidence for the malaria program in the Philippines. As you can see here, ito yung number of cases of malaria and in the Philippines. So makikita nyo, nagdi-decrease na siya through the years. Ayan. So pababa yung number of malaria cases natin. Ito yung Malaria Elimination Initiative for Malaria-Free Philippines by 2020. Nag-start in this year, 1996, 1997. And then noong year 2000, and so yung program shifted from control to elimination na. And dito labas yung Administrative Order 211-019 or yung malaria control program na natin na bago. Okay? So, ayan. And then yung number of malaria-free provinces. So, konti lang siya before. And then now, ang dami na niya. Okay? Yung malaria-free provinces. Ano yung malaria-free provinces? Ayan. So, mamaya sabihin ko sa inyo. Okay. So, these are the confirmed malaria cases. Okay. So, yung bars. Ayan. So, makita nyo, it's decreasing through the years. And even the malaria deaths are also decreasing through the years. So we now know how to properly treat malaria. Okay, and that is part of the program that I will show you later on kung bakit nagdi-decrease ang deaths due to malaria in the Philippines. Okay. So malaria came from the Italian malaria or bad air, also known as marsh disease. And descriptions of malaria go as far back as 3,550 before Christ. It is caused by the genus Plasmodium. There are 9 subgenera. Ito yung mga most common. So we have yung Plasmodium vivax for humans, malaria, falciparum, and ovale. Okay, so yung 4 yung most common. Okay. And we have yung 5th in the Philippines. We called it as Plasmodium knowlesi. Okay, so yung Plasmodium knowlesi, it's a primate malaria parasite commonly found in Southeast Asia. So dito marami. So including ang Philippines. It causes malaria in long-tailed macaques. Okay. And isolated from Philippine macaques in 1961. The first natural human infection was reported in 1965 in Malaysia. And sa Philippines, noong 2006 and 2008, we had 1 case each of malaria coming from Plasmodium knowlesi. So these are the 2 cases. This one got malaria in 2006 and this one got malaria in 2008. Vectors is Anopheles flavirostris, yung primary vector niya, but can also be seen in other Anopheles species. For the malaria situation in the Philippines, we have a drastic steady decline, as you can see from the graphs a while ago. So pababa siya talaga ng pababa. And from malaria control program before, so during the 90s, we call that as malaria control program. But netong 2000, late 2000, naging malaria elimination na tayo. So we're going to malaria elimination from malaria control. For the malaria endemicity, ito yung lecture ko ng malaria no 2013. So marami pa. Okay, so 53 are malaria endemic, 27 are malaria free. So 53 pa yung endemic noong 2013. Okay? So ang highest number of cases, Palawan pa rin noong 2013, but we also have yung Tawi-Tawi, Sulu, Maguindanao, and Zambales. But now, in 2020, so yung remaining malaria foci sa Philippines, wala na. Okay? So makikita nyo yung province under control phase pa rin is only Palawan. Okay? So Palawan na lang ang under control phase. Yung Mindoro, hindi na siya control, eliminated na sa Mindoro, and also in Sultan Kudarat, eliminated na rin siya. Okay? So Palawan na lang talaga endemic ang malaria. Okay? So yung Sultan Kudarat and Occidental Mindoro, less than 10 indigenous cases na lang sila in 2019. Okay? Pero in Palawan, it's still endemic. Ayan. So eto mga areas na to, halos eliminated na rin yung malaria in these cases. Okay? But in these cases, you still see a lot of malaria cases. Okay? Ayan. Diagnosis. Before, we have yung microscopy. But when we had yung rapid diagnostic tool, yung rapid diagnostic tool, mas mabilis na. So we can now easily diagnose and we can now easily treat malaria after yung rapid diagnostic test was introduced in the Philippines. Okay. So treatment for malaria for Vivax, we have chloroquine plus primaquine. And then artemisinin plus lufantrine. Yeah, so artemisinin now is yung main drug natin for malaria. Okay. For prophylaxis, giving of doxycycline 100 milligrams daily for 2 to 3 days before going to an endemic area, and continue while in the endemic area and for 4 more weeks after leaving the endemic area. For pregnant women, so bawal ang doxycycline because it will cause bronze teeth dun sa baby. So you give sulfadoxine, pyrimethamine, 3 tabs each at 2nd and 3rd trimester. Okay. So there was one particular incident before. I will not name na yung individual involved, but he's a well-known journalist, newscaster journalist. His father is also a well-known newscaster journalist. Okay, so that particular newscaster went to Palawan to document malaria. Okay. The sad thing is, I don't know if that particular newscaster did this research, but if you're a newscaster, if you're going to do a documentary, then you should have done your research first before going to that particular area. Okay. So I don't know if he did the research, but that particular newscaster did not take any prophylaxis, okay, for malaria. He's going to document malaria. He's going to the most endemic place for malaria in the Philippines, in Palawan, but he did not take doxycycline. Okay, so what happened? So during the filming of the documentary, he developed malaria. Okay, so nagkaroon siya ng malaria. Okay. Another ironic and erroneous or event that happened after that newscaster got malaria. Okay, his father, who's also a newscaster journalist, airlifted that particular subject from Palawan to Makati Med. Okay? Siguro isip nila, Makati Med yan eh. So, and hindi pa masyadong St. Luke's before. Makati Med is the hospital for the rich before. Okay? So they went to Makati Med, and not surprisingly, the patient died in Makati Med. Okay? Why? Why do you think so? Right? So if you have malaria already in Palawan, where do you want to get yourself treated? In Palawan or in Makati Med? Right? So if you go to Makati Med, the question that you're going to ask yourself is, do these doctors in Makati Med saw cases of malaria? And do they know how to treat malaria? Okay. Have their experience treating malaria patients? Right? Because if you are already in Palawan, malaria is endemic in Palawan, and all the hospitals in Palawan knows how to treat malaria, then why are you going to get yourself airlifted from Palawan to Makati Med? And then that what we expect happened. So the patient died because the doctors in Makati Med do not know how to treat malaria. They do not see malaria every day. Right? So these are the programs now being done for malaria, for the malaria elimination program in the Philippines. So we have yung malaria halfway homes. This is constructed in Batarasa, Brooks Point, and Rizal in Palawan. So they give supervised treatment. So DOTS na rin. So DOTS parang TB treatment tayo. So they actually observe treatment strategy for malaria, and they are given free meals. Okay. So we have to make sure that they take their medications. And we have yung long-lasting insecticide-treated nets. Yung long-lasting insecticide-treated nets, there are researches conducted for those. So they tested yung nets talaga into all kinds of situation, all kinds of environment. And true enough, talagang the insecticides were there hanggang 5 years after, kahit na nilaban na yung net. Okay, so andun pa rin yung insecticide 5 years after. Yeah. Conical nets na yung ginagamit instead of the rectangular nets, the one that you usually use, yung rectangular, hindi na ganun. Conical nets na yung ginagamit nila for the malaria elimination program. And they also use yung giant communal nets in the marketplace. Ito yung nakakatawang program. Okay. So when asked why they use giant communal nets, it's used for children staying overnight for video games. So in video games, in the province, so doon siya sa marketplace, doon naglalaro yung mga bata. Okay? Pero nakakatawa ng program na to kasi why are you going to give communal nets doon sa marketplace for children staying overnight? Bakit hindi mo nalang pagbawalan yung children to play video games? Diba? And they are staying overnight playing video games. Diba mas nakakasira sa kabataan yun? IRS is indoor residual spraying. So we still continue the insecticide spray. Okay, so dun sa mga homes. And private hospital engagement. Ito yung sabi ko sa inyo, this is the reason why we are now, the number of deaths from malaria is decreasing. Okay, because we really trained even private hospitals. Okay, so yung mga private hospitals dun sa mga malaria endemic provinces before, we trained the private hospitals on how to properly treat malaria. So everyone knows how to treat malaria. Yung malaria-free validation visits, this is being conducted sa mga malaria endemic areas before. So before the area is awarded yung malaria-free province certificate, they do malaria validation visits. They do random testing of individuals in the community to ensure that wala na talaga. There's no more cases of malaria in that particular community. These are some of the information and education campaign materials for malaria. And so in summary, I gave you the global and Philippine burden of malaria, the natural history of malaria, and the DOH program on malaria. And so these are my references. So the Philippine National Strategic Plan for Malaria 2020 to 2022. Again, this can be accessed in Canvas. So do you have any questions for the lecture? And again, if you have any questions, please write them down. Reserve them for my lecture in disaster. Or siguro during the lecture of Dr. Anailes, yung next lecture niya will be Dr. Anailes, then maybe I can also be there to give to answer some of your questions. So again, thank you very much. Please go to the next lecture on tuberculosis.